Hi, my name is Sheila Megers, and this is my case study, Internet Use Violations, Threats Over the World Wide Web. What do I know? I know that Roosevelt High School is affluent and most parents are professionals. Dr. Forbes has been the principal for 9 years and is well respected. I also know Miss Walker is a highly educated second-year teacher who is struggling to balance her high academic expectations and building relationships with her students. Dr. Forbes has given Miss Walker suggestions for improving the atmosphere in her classroom, but she has been unsuccessful so far in implementing them. I also know an inappropriate website has been created about Miss Walker, likely by one of her students. What do I need to know? Is this website a prank or an actual threat to Miss Walker? Who sent the email and created the website? I also need to know if the email and website originated on or off school grounds. What does the school policy say concerning this type of incident? And finally, I'd like to know, did an incident occur in Ms. Walker's classroom that may have provoked this website? Based on what I know and what I need to know, I have identified the problem as a website that was created about Ms. Walker and contains inappropriate comments and vulgar words. Ms. Walker believes her life has been threatened because the website also contains the comment, "Who wants Ms. Walker to disappear?" She is terrified. I believe there's a secondary problem that also needs to be addressed, and that is Ms. Walker's inability to build positive relationships with students and parents. In addressing this issue, the first step I would take is to communicate with all parties of interest. I would first meet with our school resource officer. I would want him to take a look at the website and see if he can determine if this is an actual threat or a prank. I would also want just his advice on how to proceed and handle some of this. The second thing I would do is to contact our technology department and see first and foremost if they can just simply remove the website, and also if they can determine its origination. I would also make the superintendent aware of the situation and what I'm planning to do to address it. And then I would begin interviewing students that are in Ms. Walker's class or students that I suspect might have some involvement or knowledge of this situation. The second thing I would do is make sure that I am carefully documenting and researching as I go along. I would first of all review district policies and laws that apply so that I'm well informed as I proceed. I would retain hard copies of the email and website as evidence. I would also make careful note of all interviews as I proceed. I think that because this is an affluent school, this is especially important. These are parents that will be highly involved and not afraid to ask questions. I think documenting is always important, but especially so in this situation. And then any other pertinent information that I come across or discover, I would also document that as well. And my third step would be to determine appropriate consequences and finish resolving any conflicts. One of the things I would do is to determine the appropriate discipline after carefully considering all evidence. I would also communicate my discipline plan with the parent or parents of students involved. I would then update the superintendent and or any necessary supervisors. I think this is important. I would also want to educate students on appropriate internet use expectations in the future. And then I would communicate to all staff members the importance of building positive relationships with students and parents, again, to avoid having something like this happen in the future. And then I would work with Ms. Walker to improve her rapport with students and her instructional skills, because I suspect that's what triggered this whole situation. I will promote the success of all students by using this opportunity to teach them appropriate internet behavior. Students in this school are affluent and have access to the newest technology available. This can be a great thing, but with it comes some responsibility, and they need some instruction on how to use the internet appropriately. This is a highly prestigious school, and teaching students to use the internet will help maintain their high reputation. I will also promote the success of all students by treating staff and students with fairness and integrity. Ms. Walker states, "I'll bet that Randy Franks did this." As a leader, it's important to stay open-minded and not jump to conclusions. We can't just go pointing blame based off of someone's accusation or hunch. After a thorough investigation, consequences were assigned based on the facts and in a fair manner. Carefully following all school policies and laws that apply during this process ensures that staff and students are treated with dignity. And finally, I will promote the success of all students by ensuring that all teachers communicate effectively and utilize appropriate teaching strategies. Ms. Walker has previously failed at implementing suggestions. She is in need of more support, mentoring, and or possibly training. Maybe a mentor teacher being assigned to her would help. Maybe some kind of classroom management training. Whatever she needs, I need to make sure that she has access to that because her current path that she's on is not working. Until this issue is resolved, I will monitor Ms. Walker's well-being carefully. I will make sure that she's capable of teaching. She's highly distraught, and that may affect her ability to teach until this is resolved. Students in Ms. Walker's class report a stressful experience. I will stay in close contact with her as she works to improve the atmosphere in her classroom. What was I thinking as I processed this case? Of primary concern was the safety of Ms. Walker. She needs to feel that she is safe whether she is at home or at school. I need to quickly determine if this is a real threat or simply a prank. I also need to get this website taken down as soon as possible. This would help prevent this situation from blowing out of proportion. I have not been successful at helping Ms. Walker build rapport with her classes. As I processed this was at the front of my mind. I know I needed to deal with the website, but the bigger issue to me was helping her become a successful teacher in the long run. And I was also thinking that the climate in Ms. Walker's room does not reflect my vision for Roosevelt High School. I think relationships between students and staff and parents are at the heart of having a successful learning experience for the students involved. What was I feeling? I feel disappointment that the website has likely been created by a student at Roosevelt High School. I had higher expectations for their behavior. I feel concern over Ms. Walker's fear and how she will handle her classes in the upcoming days. I also feel a sense of urgency to get this situation resolved. I think that until it's resolved, the atmosphere in her classroom is going to be tense. She's going to be uncomfortable. She's nervous. So a sense of urgency to get to the bottom of this. And I am highly bothered that the situation has escalated to this level between Ms. Walker and her students. I want to get it resolved, but I also really want to address the issue of the atmosphere in her classroom. What was I valuing? I value the need to model professional behavior as I go through and I investigate and interview and come to a decision. I also value the desire to handle the situation fairly and ethically. I value the rights of students, staff, and parents involved, and that's why I did the research immediately as to what the school policy says and what the law says regarding a situation like this. I also value the safety and well-being of all students and staff. What is unresolved or open for further investigation? I need to know who sent the email and created the website. I need to know what provoked this website and what was its intent. Is the website a prank or a real threat to Ms. Walker? Ms. Walker's ability to implement changes, build positive relationships, and improve instruction needs more investigation. I need to figure out if this is simply a matter of she is unwilling to improve and change, or does she just simply lack the skills needed to do so? And if that's the case, then I need to figure out a way to help her. I truly believe, based off of her level of education and her desire to set high standards, I believe she wants to do this and do this well. I think she is just lacking the skill to do so, and I think that this is something to investigate and keep an eye on and try and help her get the skills she needs. I also need to know what is the best way to educate students on appropriate internet use. As an administrator, I demonstrated a sense of integrity and ethical behavior that served as a model for all members of the school community. I took Ms. Walker's concerns seriously, immediately viewed the site, and printed hard copies of the email and threatening web page. By interviewing and investigating this incident, I treated everyone with respect. I did not jump to conclusions when Ms. Walker accused Randy Franks. I kept all information confidential during the investigation in order to preserve the integrity of Ms. Walker and the students involved. As an administrator, I treated people fairly, equitably, and with dignity and respect. Only after a thorough investigation did I assign consequences that were fair and appropriate for the situation. I also took into account the stress and frustration that the students felt toward Ms. Walker. I knew they were concerned about receiving low grades in her class. Ms. Walker perceived this website as a death threat. treating it as such showed respect for her concern. And I also carefully followed all school policies and laws concerning internet violations. As an administrator, I demonstrated a personal and professional code of ethics in order to inspire others to higher levels of performance. By carefully investigating the situation and interviewing all parties involved, my decisions were based on facts and evidence rather than accusations. I knew that many parents were already upset with Ms. Walker. Keeping all information confidential during the investigation prevented the situation from being blown out of proportion. And finally, I stressed the importance of educating students on appropriate internet use to avoid similar situations occurring in the future. Thank you.